VCR Redux will begin in T-minus 5 minutes.
What the fart is VCR Redux?
It's the show where we take movies from the VCR era and bring them back to today.
Well, how do we do that?
Well, we start by talking about a VHS classic, and usually you'll say something like,
I haven't been this uncomfortable since I watched Meatballs 4, Meatballs to the Rescue with my parents. Oh yeah, or you'll say something stupid like,
I wish we lived in a world where the Garbage Pail Kids made as many movies as the Muppets.
but I know you'll always see it through with a positive attitude.
I hate this movie, I hate being here, I hate all of this. Oh, Jamie Kennedy. Oh, well, shit. Well, let's go for this.
He was in Son of Mask. This is genius.
I am not a gamer. I'd rather read books. I'm just
Ian's like the old lady that's like, I got video game monsters, I got toy monsters in here.
As long as we respect the passion and the artistry that went into these films.
You know, obviously they took this movie, it's 93, right? And you're like, what do you want to see in your Mario movie? And they're like, oh, we want it to be grim, we want a lot of death, we want tits and ass.
Oh, and then we start the pitch ideas with modern day sequels like
Weekend at Bernie's 3, Cocaine Mountain.
Sometimes we take it kind of seriously.
I'll watch a Paul Verhoeven alien movie.
oh my gosh, that alien will have more vaginas than anything you've ever seen in your life. Sometimes this Hawaiian shirted fool will pitch something stupid like,
I would take out the virtual reality stuff and just have it be about Jeff Fahey mowing the lawn.
Sometimes the best pitches come from the live chat.
Alex Bonafonte also pitches Grand Theft Starfighter Vice Galaxy.
wait, I thought I had the best pitches.
And what happens at the end of the movie? The ultimate fart. The fart that the warmth goes like all the way down to your socks.
The only rules are, there are no rules. Sometimes we cross over franchises.
Only the truck from Tango and Cash can kill Christine.
And sometimes we travel back in time.
Like 1995 is missing a good Universal Soldier sequel.
But you never know what we're gonna pitch next.
What do you want? Do you want Daniel Stern behind like a muzzled mask? Like,
We all know it should be Pesci behind the mask, and like underneath the mask, you should hear him going like fritter, 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 fritter.
you are so proud of yourself for that one. I can't stand you.
I would also love to see a Charles Bronson version of It's a Wonderful Life.
What?
Direct to DVD.
If you made a shot-for-shot remake of Scarface with Goofy as Al Pacino, it would be amazing.
Oh my God.
Gosh, you need me to be the bad guy.
It's like the worst 1987 Disney movie Disney's ever made. Schlongo, directed by Jim Wynorski.
Like, I would watch a whole bowl of that.
Do the John Holmes story. Add a comedy spin to it.
Wow, the Wonderland murders are so funny.
I'd watch it on my mobile.
Something happens and he goes into a coma. He gets like, hit by a car or something. I know this is dark, but like, bear with me. He's got to go on.
Did you just go like Hard to Kill with Ferris Bueller?
I'd watch it on my iPad.
If you want to just like throw in the kitchen sink, it all works. Like Alien versus Predator versus RoboCop. Like if that works. Alien versus Predator versus Terminator. That works.
Alien versus Predator versus Ernest. That works.
That works.
I respect everything you just said. I need David Silver and Terry Silver and the Sloan family all learning the Quicksilver, but they're doing it in Breakin' 3 Hydraulic Boogaloo, and it's underwater. It's gonna be incredible. Eat your fucking shit out, James Cameron. I got the underwater movie you can't touch.
That was the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my life.
Mr. Toxie Goes to Washington.
My ass would be in the theater tomorrow.
If Harley Quinn gets 7 movies, then Tank Girl should get at least 70.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
I mean, why should we even bother with Look Who's Talking when Air Bud is soaring to new highs?
All I know is I want Danny McBride.
I'd want him doing anything other than writing Halloween movies, honestly. Anything that keeps him away from that fucking job, I'm for it.
Just let him talk out of his butt. I don't care how he does it.
I'd rather not.
Austin Powers doing the Macarena.
That would be the opening credits. Come on.
But we have not yet had Die Hard on a half pipe. What if John McClane Jr. was a pro skateboarder and also an avid machine gun enthusiast? Skater Die Hard.
What up, virtual people? Welcome to the 155th episode of VCR Redux. We take your favorite franchises out of the analog era and bring them back to 2024. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, joined as always by my co-host with the most, film professor Ian Klink.
Multipass.
Oh my God. And we have two radical guests on the show tonight. First up, he's a location scout who's worked on Law & Order and Wu-Tang and American Saga. Michael Ricci is back on the show.
Buzz,
This is way too this is the enthusiasm I've been looking for in an intro of this show forever. Why did it come for this one? But rounding out this righteous crew, Crash Romeo guitarist and Street Fighter Champion Edition, Steven Zangief Anderson is back on the show.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're all so welcome.
Thank you so much, Zangief. We are here today to dissect the cinematic cross-section of Luke Perry, Gary Oldman, and Chris Tucker, because this world needs Fifth Element too, and we're here to give it to you. Before Ian says the blondes have more fun, or Steve asks what the Jovovich, we got a dish on how Fifth Element came into our lives and what we love about it. And of course that includes you at home and everyone watching the live chat. Was it love at first Laserdisc, Vital VHS? Hit us up in the chat and let us know how Fifth Element came into your lives. So, Master Steven, when did you first get Fifth Elemented?
I mean, I would have seen this kind of thing right away, right out of the gate, as soon as it came out, you know? Bruce Willis in a sci-fi epic, you know, kind of deal. I remember really liking this, but I was also kind of a stupid child. Like, in all fairness. So, like,
as a teacher, no, you were not, sir.
Isn't that what
That's
producers
all I've
want?
ever
Isn't
needed
that
to
what
hear.
they're going for here?
I've never had a teacher say anything but the opposite. So that's nice to hear.
Just
No,
overall
40 years old.
educator.
What you heard was
But
a
was-
bad teacher telling you what you heard. That's what you heard.
So my question is, though, was this VHS or theaters? Because those were only really the two options for us. We're the same age.
It would have been theaters. I think.
Theater.
Theaters, okay. You
Would have been
bastard.
theaters, yeah.
You bastard.
Dude, born in 83, I'm 14 years old. Bruce Willis is there. Hot chicks are there. It's weird. It's French.
Yes.
It's-
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like the whole idea is like everything else in space is fucking dreary, right? And this is like bright and awesome, like in a similar way. And you guys might totally roast me here that I've heard people say to like Back to the Future. It's future. It's
All
fun.
right.
The cars are the same. You know.
You just crossed into used car
Fighting
salesman
words.
territory here.
I'm going for it.
you
I
really
told you I'd
did,
go
yeah.
for it.
You know, like you remind me of that guy selling the car in Commando who's like, I know what you're thinking. Trust me, you
It's
don't
Ben
want leather,
Stein.
brother.
I'm
it's
not-
hot, it cracks, it gets, you know.
It's not an
all over.
original idea, Chris.
You know what this
It's been
movie-
written
you know,
about. I've
this
read
movie's-
articles about it.
This
No,
movie's
no,
like-
I'm
Bruce car.
And I'll say, Mike, maybe not you, but everyone else on the show probably never saw this because it came out after you could rent VHSs.
I would disagree. I feel like
But it's a lot
I
like that
rewatched
movie.
this on TNT, I believe.
No. It's like a lot like that movie Valerian, except I can't figure out why I didn't particularly enjoy any part of Valerian, but this could get me.
It was
Bruce. You're hearing from Bruce. Come on, Luke Besson
Yeah.
is not bad. Look, I don't like some of his new stuff. Some friends worked on Dogman. I haven't seen it. It doesn't look great. I forget who it is. It's who's the like young redhead guy who's been in some weird stuff. He's not a Culkin. I forget.
I don't know, but just the title alone already sounds more intriguing to me. Dogman, like, all right.
Oh, it's nothing like this. It's like grim and dreary and in a city and whatever. But I don't know. I mean, look, I also saw this in the theater. I would have been 14 years old. I think I took a McDate. You know, it was that type of thing. I think I got lucky at some point on this night. And he gets lucky. Dude, the amount of flirting in this movie is incredible. So if you're a 14-year-old boy, Bruce taught me like how to flirt. So there you go. You know,
there are definitely movies that I have no reason to like other than like they're fond like early date memories of middle school, like, you know what I mean, things that like, you know, mark the history pages of your young life. I get that.
I would have probably went to this with my father, and he would have elbow nudged the fuck out of me every time Mila Jovovich came on screen wearing that. Like,
bandages is what they call it. They call it bandages. Yeah,
bandages.
And one weird thing for me with this movie, I don't know why, but only recently when I've watched it, when the fist thing is in the container and they're gonna like extrapolate. I never saw a fist. I saw a weird grasshopper looking thing. That's what I saw. And only recently when I watched this movie was it like, that is like some type of hand or arm, and what have I been seeing the whole time? So that's like an admission of guilt here.
And how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like I'm strange, like I'm a strange person, and I see things in a very strange way that no one else ever sees. And I'm like, does that mean I don't exist? Or
as a teacher,
yes,
you're not strange.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you for sitting in here today. You know, a
right,
wellness podcast is really
Is what we need sometimes.
well, yeah, you know, every once in a while we should get off the
we
mood.
crave it, we need it, we feast on it.
I'm switching into wellness mode. Yes, and how did young Iowa Ian come upon this landmark film? And how did this shape your journey?
I can. So this was, what was 96, right?
97.
97,
yeah. So
The
This
Professor.
opened Cannes, by the way, if you guys didn't know that.
what?
This opened the Cannes Film Festival.
Oh my.
It is a French
That's
film.
just.
I thought Professor Ian would be all over that.
You should be, yeah. He's getting outschooled.
Talk about pretentious, Chris. There you go. Cannes.
Cannes film.
You just took the professor to school.
You know, I used to think I used to think the Cannes Film Festival was prestigious. Then I saw Canon used to be there and sold all their Chuck Norris movies. So.
Yeah, Johnny Depp goes and hangs out, leaves.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah,
not
that's
the
when it-
Cannes film?
Oh, it's
festival?
Cannes. It's 2 A's. It's Cannes.
Canon.
Never. I'm not
Man.
going to say that. I'm not saying it.
But anyway,
Say it now.
This would have been when I was in Sioux City, and there was a second-run movie theater where they would show a movie 5 months or 4 months after it was in the initial theater up the road.
Ooh, that's cool.
And you could see it for half the price. So I mean, like you could go for like $3. And
Yeah, those are.
I want to say
I love those.
popcorn- I think popcorn was $1.
We had one of those in my hometown. It was called the Catlow. It was great.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. I mean, so you know, yeah, you didn't see it right away, but you went to go see it. And yeah, I was by myself. This was around the era where I was really getting into the idea of films, and and I remember going through. This was like a really interesting time period because there was like I was really getting into sci-fi. You know, the video store in Sioux City that I went to, Roadshow Video, had a great sci-fi section. And I remember this is a period where I'm renting Westworld and I'm renting Silent Running and I'm and renting Blade Runner. And the Blade Runner that I rented was the original 82, 83 VHS with the
So many cuts of that
and-
movie. Ridiculous amount of cuts.
But I was also like, I was noticing sci-fi books and I was reading, well, it wasn't called Blade Runner. It's called.
This is like a dork montage, right?
Oh yeah.
You gotta have a montage.
Electric Sleep. You know, I was reading those. So like the Fifth Element hit just where I needed it to hit. Like it came at the right period at the right time.
Yeah.
But, and I have to add this will be the last thing I add on this. This was also one of the first movies where in late 97, something had happened in the middle of the night with pay-per-view channels, where if you tuned in at like 1:30, maybe 2, they'd play like, they wouldn't play the first 10 minutes of the movie, but they would play like the middle of the movie for some odd reason. I don't know why. But the Fifth Element, I would see over and over again because.
But like just the middle of the movie?
I don't know why. And I've asked some people who said that they had the same thing. So I know I'm not crazy.
Weird.
But yeah, it would. This
Is that like a Midwestern thing or something like that?
I don't know. It's just this and the Birdcage and heavy metal would play.
Yeah, I remember something like that about heavy metal, only being able to watch some of it, but I thought that was because of nudity.
How can you tell what part of heavy metal you're even fucking in?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, like I said, but I remember, you know, the sci-fi-ness of this movie, you know, I ate it up. I might have even gone back to see it in the theater twice. Maybe.
Wow. That seems like an endorsement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, definitely.
It is super fun for the time with all the right people in it.
Yeah.
I want to pull a Steve real quick because I saw something in the chat and I want to say it's awesome. Gold
Well,
Scope.
I will get to the chat.
Hold on, I really want to say this bad though, Chris. He said Ian is back. Now you can leave again.
Well, speaking of the chat, I want to do a little roll call and thank
Oh,
everyone
we
who's there.
have
I
to-
see.
Oh shit!
I see Cobra Kai Never Dies in there. Jackson Cobra Kai, Mike Benoit, Angie Saunders, Kiddo. Angie Saunders, Mashup Genius, Kiddo LA, Oscar Toronto, Whiskey 41, the great Alex Bonafonte, Caitlin Allwin, America's Next Top Model, Monica Thyman coming from all the way across the pond,
Big
Mikey
crowd.
Riffraff, the other Mashup Genius, Gold's Code, Sean Gold himself, and Rand. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. So this is probably going to be a beloved one. I see already Oscar Toronto favorite. Everyone in it is perfectly cast. Watch it first on cable or VCR rental. Mila is too hot and pretty, so maybe my second TV crush in my teen years after Christina Applegate. Well, that is fine company to be in. That's for sure.
Right. And you're all welcome, by the way, because I hoisted this upon
Steve.
Chris.
Yes.
You
this
know,
is,
knowing that it would be a well.
Zangief was basically like, Chris wasn't miserable enough doing Prole. We're gonna take another movie that I know he doesn't like.
Chris loves when other people tell him what to do so much that I'm gonna start.
Chris, you're in the Minority Report tonight.
I am. Guess who's playing?
Don't wear terrible shirts.
Guess who's playing?
Because you're basically Ruby. That's what you are in the future. Ruby is a podcast host.
Guess who's playing the heel in tonight's episode, folks?
You are super green, my friend. Super green.
But Mikey Riffraff says, I watched this at a friend's house. Monica Thyman saw the movie on video for the first time and thought it was great. The Rand says the fifth element we call the 10th element, the neon moonlight, where Bruce Willis teams up with Pluto Nash to solve a case of someone trying to steal the moon. I already like that better. That's we're a little ahead of pitch time, but that's amazing.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Gold's Code says, I saw this movie opening day in a theater, and it was a little weird to me then, and a little weird still now, that Ian needs to write an autobiography. Unlucky. That's a nice little jab at Ian.
That's good, buy his book.
And a plug for his book. Buy his book, Lucky, folks. And Angie Saunders, the great Mashup Genius, says, I saw it on VHS. So glad to have...
she loves Bruce Willis, though, like anything he's in.
I do love Bruce Willis. I will get to my story with this, though. I got to say, this is probably my least favorite thing that Bruce Willis is like ever
get out of here, man!
Or at least,
because he did so many flops before this, including Hudson Hawk.
Oh,
yeah, Chris
Hudson Hawk.
This is not a flop, Chris. People like
Hudson Hawk deserves a fucking Statue of Liberty monument.
It's a flop.
Like it's
This
such a
isn't a
masterpiece.
You know what you don't like though, Chris, is Armageddon. I know that.
I also don't like Armageddon, but I would take Armageddon. I will take Armageddon over this because Armageddon sucks so good. This doesn't suck nearly enough for me.
Chris,
it's
you want to
weird.
climb up on that hill and you want to die on that hill, then we will murder you.
I do, yes.
That is fine.
Kill me. Point all your guns. Everyone in the chat think I'm an idiot.
You won't make it to Uncle Buck.
I don't. I refuse to lie. I refuse to lie to the people. And I will say this in defense of this film. This maybe is just smarter than I am. Maybe smarter than I was when it came out, and maybe
what I was gonna say.
He is a teacher. He would say you're smart.
So
okay,
Mike, I think it's that generational gap thing again. I think it's just maybe Chris didn't quite understand it when he first saw it.
I watched it,
and now he just rejects it because he rejects what he does not understand.
I watched it when it first hit video. And I watched it again last night and into today because Steve got tired and he couldn't. We were watching it together, and at the halfway point, I gotta go to sleep. I gotta go to work, whatever. So he was late coming home from work, so I watched the second half solo today. And I made sure to not have any devices or anything, no distractions. I'm like into the movie, even though he was talking a lot over the first half.
You're focused on the plot.
I don't know this. I'm trying to. I just like sometimes you watch something and you just can't really absorb it. Like sometimes it's a teacher, it's someone's style, someone's.
That's called a learning disability. Ian will talk to you about that.
I don't know. There's just only some movies they suck you in right away, and what it is for me is it's. A lot of it is character dependent. Like when people really get into the psychology of characters and why you should care about them. Like one of my favorite examples in the history of cinema actually comes from Die Hard. You love John McClane before any of that shit happens because why? Because he rides in the fucking front seat with the limo driver, and you're like, oh man, this guy's fucking great guy. Like I love this guy. No, it's such a
I mean,
simple
look.
reason. Why do we love Rocky? Because he carries he walks this girl home and tells her, hey, you don't swear, blah, blah, blah. Guys aren't
Well,
gonna.
no,
She says,
we
screw
love
you,
Rocky
creepo.
because
And
it's
we
an
love Rocky.
underdog story, and this is an underdog story. This is a French movie. It's the biggest movie at the time ever made outside of Hollywood. It's the biggest VFX budget on any movie ever at the time. It's a shot in the dark from France to go at Hollywood, and a big French director to take a shot to do something with Hollywood actors not in Hollywood and different.
Well, that's
not
great,
what was out there.
but big in French doesn't make me care about a movie. Neither does big in
Well,
American. Neither does
I mean, it
big
makes you very American
like,
and a
just
little.
to say no,
you know.
but just like big and location. Those two ingredients are not like
Have you
enough
ever
to make
seen
me go,
Luke Besson's-
okay, I care now. But it's like the characters. Well, I don't know who Bruce. Like I feel like I just have no frame
hear
of
you.
anything. Like I
Random
don't know.
question.
Like
Have
I
you ever
don't-
seen another movie that Luke Besson did called Angel A or like Angel A? It's a French movie. It's an excellent movie. It's actually in black and white, and it's like one of my favorite, I guess, French movies or Luke Besson movies or whatever. No one's ever seen it, and he like flashes at stuff there. And this flashes at stuff. For me, does it hit exactly, Chris? No, it doesn't. But because what is it missing? The main thing for me that it's missing, Bruce Willis and Gary Oldman never meet each other. They never intersect. They were supposed to intersect when he misses him at the elevator, when he goes back, because he goes back. And they never conflict. And
That's
it was
weird.
supposed to be that Zorg survives the explosion and comes after Bruce. And they
I've never noticed that until you just said
I
that.
know. I didn't really notice it either. And then I watched it a couple months ago. And then, you know what it is, Ian? Oldman only did this movie because Luke Besson financed Oldman's movie. So he's like, I'll just do it. And I don't even like it. And I don't even want to be there. And he didn't read it or whatever. So, like, technically, Gary Oldman phoned this in. He just stood there a while. The best thing he does is that speech.
I mean, he's doing just as well as
destruction
all the
and
other villains
creativity.
of this time that were doing weird shit like this. Like
Well,
he's
here's
doing
the
just
thing.
as
Here's
well
what
as
gets to
Dennis
my-
Hopper and like a Mario. Like it's
Yeah,
all
let's
that
keep
kind of
talking
stuff.
about
you know.
this year. Let me throw some at you. What is the number one song of 1997?
Spice Girls.
Notorious B.I.G. Hypnotize. Okay? So
Oh,
we
my
were in
heart
like
will
a
go on
hip
from
hop
Titanic?
cool state of mind. This
Wait,
movie's
that's
pretty fucking cool. The opera's pretty fucking cool, when she sings that song and that whole edited up, hitting all those notes. It's pretty cool. No one else has done that.
You know
So
what, Mike,
what do we
you're
think
like-
about that, Chris?
you
Huh?
I think it's time to go to the chat because there's 4
Yes.
comments in a row that are amazing. Gold's Code. This movie was better than Jade and Hudson Hawk. Come on, Chris. Mikey Riffraff. Hudson Hawk was amazing. Thank you, Mikey. Whiskey 41. Armageddon is in the Criterion Collection. Chew on that. Gold's Code. Now I know what to get Chris for his birthday. Oh man, priceless. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to me bitch and moan
live in a
about this
world-
movie.
We do
But
live
if I
in a
could-
world where Armageddon.
Chris,
is-
I get that you don't like it, but the hate for it is unwarranted, and that's something. you
No.
can deal with.
It's not about that. I'm glad that other people enjoy it. I
vitriol.
just want to explain, like, it's got that 90s cool aesthetic to it. That's just like I'm not really down with. Like, to me, 90s movies from 97 are like Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion. Like
French
that's
movies
peak.
from
That's
'97
peak.
that opened.
That's
at-
peak. That's peak. Well, I'll tell you what, Romeo and Michelle should have opened at Cannes because that movie is peak
one.
fucking 97. That's what that says more about who we really are than.
Yeah.
than
I really
Give it up
else.
for the
in the show.
originality of this, though. In a world where we've been getting like the same space,
I will sing its
visuals and-
praises. It's
yeah.
got a great cast. It's got a really memorable aesthetic. But the storyline, I don't remember it
I
because
hear
I
you.
never really even.
Look-
I can't even take it under I was literally looking it up like in the words. It's like the Mafakushian ship is not
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
and the planet
Mangalore,
Yalakavatush and
Ian, you ready to
the
retract
opera
your-
singer of
your kind
Lava
words from earlier?
Congratula. Like,
I'm
I
not
know
gonna lie.
Ian's so quiet.
I'm not gonna lie. I was a little embarrassed of how difficult it was for me to even fucking follow this at 40.
Yeah,
watching
it's
it again, I
all
was
over
like,
the
"What
place.
is happening?" Like when I rewatched it again too.
Yeah.
I was like, I
Yeah,
rewatched the
I
beginning
never
of it.
fully understood like when the blue lady gets shot, right? Like she would have to get shot for you to get the things out. So did she actually explode from the inside or some shit? Like she would always have to die.
Yeah,
to dig
how
the
was she, how was
out
she
of
going to
her.
give it to them if that didn't happen?
Right.
Yeah,
Was she gonna like give birth to them or something? Or like how do you get them in? It's like she smuggled them in through the border. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, shit.
I mean, that's how we do things here too.
Yeah, that's when it got really weird to me. But look, I
See, this movie.
and hold on, we got to do President Debo there, Tom Lister, R.I.P. in 2020,
good, yeah.
and John Neville is the general guy who's like bleeding from the head originally, and he died in 2011.
Is he the one who looks vaguely James Cameron-ish?
Yeah, he did some weird movie I remember as a kid, like Baron Munchausen, blah blah blah, whatever. And it's a French thing, and it's really weird, and you probably won't like it, Chris. Look, come on.
I like French films. I don't get it. I'm not like anti.
You like French fries.
Amelie is great. I love Amelie.
Amelie, get out of here. That's the most textbook French movie. Deeper.
Oh, come on. Don't.
Do it. You're complaining so hard. You like a French movie? What French movie? Yeah, Amelie.
Okay. Okay. I was thinking of one that's not French. I was thinking of Run Lola Run, but that's actually not
that's
French.
good. That's German. That's better. That's better.
German, but it's European. It's not French. I mean,
Good
we're gonna
reference.
quibble about this shit. Like,
no, you got me. Run Lola Run's good reference. You're cool. It's fine.
All right, moving on. You know, I know, to be fair, it's more the sci-fi. You know, it's not that I dislike the Frenchness of the film. It's the style of sci-fi. I hate 90s sci-fi. I don't like 90s cool aesthetic. Like, it's the one thing
I just find this to be the exception in
Well, let me
sci-fi.
ask Chris. Let me ask you this: Lost in Space.
Oh, fucking biggest, worst piece of shit ever. That's the one thing this was the horrible run of Gary Oldman of Air Force One.
Thank
Lost
you,
in
Ian. You
Space,
just
and
reminded
Fifth Element.
I hate this movie.
I was trying to think of what
God.
this reminded me of since we were. I'm like, what does this remind me of? Ian just nailed it. It's Lost in Space.
Fucking
Yeah,
Space.
that
Yes.
Matt LeBlanc,
Yeah.
not Lost in Space. Yeah.
Oh. And 90s, like 97 Godzilla. Like, this is just bringing it
How
all
dare you?
the shit.
That's a William Hurt. That hurts. That's a William Hurt, and that hurts, Chris. Come on now.
Oh,
You know,
I'm sorry,
I
but
mean,
like,
here's the thing. The what makes, I think I do understand that the Fifth Element, you do have to be. Let me explain this. There's different subgenres of sci-fi, and I would also say that there's
like hard sci-fi.
Yeah, like there's many levels. There's serious science fiction,
Comedy. Yeah.
There's comedies that, you know, it's like you know, it all has this thing. I do think that there is this heavy metal Morbius, throw everything in the kitchen sink sci-fi movies, and there's a couple examples. I mean, you could put Blade Runner in that. You could put heavy metal magazines in there. You know, the heavy metal, the movie. I mean, really, it's like, what is Fifth Element but a kind of semi ripoff of the taxi cab driver episode in Fifth Element, you know, in the heavy metal, the Harry, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, really,
Before
that's
say
really,
that. Do you know why he's a cab driver in this? Like, why that was? Luke Besson's dad was a cab driver, so he like always writes cab drivers. But it's kind of trope, right? Like, because like, you know,
this was something that caught me
Taxi
too
Driver.
this time around. If you would ask me, like, oh, what's Bruce Willis in that fucking Fifth Element movie? I would be like, he's a cab driver. Well,
Yes, cab driver.
And
Yeah,
then
cab
this,
driver.
and this, I never caught before. They allude to the fact that, like, oh, he's a cab driver, but he was also part of like a super
an
like,
elite
SEAL
special
teams,
forces
elite
unit
special
where
forces,
everyone is
whatever.
dead. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
didn't you think when he put everybody in the refrigerator, he put the thing down, they came back, they were frozen? Didn't you think they were dead and that was like horrifying? And then they're just like alive later. They like defrosted and they're fine. You know,
I don't know. I don't even.
I was
think
too
they needed
excited
to
that
do
Brian James is on screen, so you know,
Yeah.
everything else went out.
I just don't even understand that whole bit where he hides everyone in his apartment, and the one guy's like saran wrapped, and everyone else in the fridge, and like she's in the shower. And
This
she's
movie
she's like
dramatic.
auto wash or whatever. It's like, what the fuck is all this? Is this
It
three-
wildly changes in tone so much that it gets a little disorienting.
Yeah,
All
no,
of a
you're
sudden,
right.
like it's like a serious sci-fi movie, and then 2 seconds
And
later,
then-
it's
and
like
then
a fucking
at the-
cartoon, and like
and then
everyone's
at
like
the
waving
Flotsam
around. Yeah.
Jetsam place or whatever, it's like when Bruce gets into it, that was the biggest explosion indoors anyone's ever done, and the fire was so out of control it took them 25 minutes to put it out.
However, I do
So
put
it goes full blown action movie for like 10 minutes. You know,
I do put Chris Tucker's performance in that kind of, you can hate it, you can
Yeah.
love it,
or you could want some more of it.
but what? Yeah, but and it's like I love Chris Tucker in this movie. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll
This
get
is
to
my-
give you
this
All
is
that.
right,
my only-
Professor, who was it modeled after? Who did they want before Chris Tucker?
Wasn't it Prince?
Prince, right?
Very nice,
And
and,
he said-
it was also a little modeled off of Michael Jackson. Obviously, I don't.
And
yeah,
apparently, Prince said no because he
Yeah.
felt like the costume design was too effeminate.
He, quote unquote outlandish.
Oh,
Steve,
I
was the
love
word.
that.
Yeah, sorry.
So
But
speaking of
yes,
quotes,
but coming from Prince, that's a weird
Yeah,
one. Yeah,
weird,
yeah.
speaking of quotes, two interesting ones in the chat. One is Rand saying the opera singer is the real life wife of the director. A little trivia I did not know.
heard
And then I
that.
see Amber
There.
Caldwell in the chat saying this was my favorite sci-fi film when I was a kid. I bought it on 4K Blu-ray before Best Buy stopped selling DVDs in store. Which brings me to an interesting point. Another
Ooh,
thing,
core memories
another
right
thing,
there. That's nice.
well, core memory unlock, right? Another thing I do actually respect about this movie is this is like a home video champion movie. Whenever a new home video format comes out, it's like T2 and Fifth Element are here and ready for this new format. Like, I
no, the
swear to
movie
God,
is supporting the format. That's why the movie exists. Yeah. Yeah.
it kind of is. It's like whatever new format they invent, whatever new way to watch movies, one of the first movies to ever be there will be the Fifth Element. I guarantee it. And for that reason alone,
it was like the first one on Pirate Bay. Yeah, like ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for that reason alone, it is worthy of us discussing, even if it's, cooler than me. And when I say I don't like 90s cool, I mean that specific, like, club cool, that, like, long leather trench coat cool, that, like, in-between Blade and the
You like
Matrix
that mullet
cool, you know?
cool. That real...
Yeah, give me that 80s cool, that Nick from
Party in
Family
the
Ties
back.
cool. Yeah, party in the back and, whatever's going on up front, as long as it's
Well,
rocking.
Whatever weird shirt you want to wear up front doesn't matter.
Also in the chat, I see Gold's Code with the worst comment ever, maybe in all of VCR Redux history, saying, "Chris, let's do virtuosity."
Yeah, no.
So I've got to draw the line somewhere, folks.
Yeah,
Let's do no, but you know what? Let's do Idiocracy.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we're fucking
Well,
living
we are
in it,
living
so we
it.
don't
That's
have
why we
to.
got to do it because we
Yeah.
demand a sequel.
Velocity was awesome.
Such a
Russell
good
Crowe
movie,
all the
right?
way. But I will say
Velocity. You called it Velocity?
For any of you
Velocity.
youngsters out there, if you really want to know what 1998 looked like, it was silver pants and something orange.
Yeah,
It was.
enormous silver pants that you could zip off into shorts.
Yeah.
And,
Oh my God. Yeah, you know what? That's really true. But I think mostly if you're in a TRL music video, if you're like walking around like Sioux City, Iowa like that, I bet you would have gotten the
Anywhere,
shit
Chris.
kicked out of you.
We need a
You would've had
fashion
fun.
redux.
Yeah.
Is what we need.
That's
Fashion.
what if really seriously,
Oh my
it's like
God.
you stood in line at Best Buy to get the 2 VHS of Titanic. You were wearing gray and orange.
Mhm.
That's it.
with a ton of bracelets, like all the way up your
Yeah,
arm.
that's what it was.
And in 2025, you're wearing a flannel shirt in front of a blue lady. Yeah.
That's right.
That is what that is what I can smell the death of Jinko jeans right now. So
I heard someone say the other day they were coming back. I was like, look,
This is true. This is true. I remember the rip-away pants. Remember that like snapped on the sides?
Mhm.
I had
Sometimes.
rip-away jeans in 1998.
Oh, Ian, that's so
Wow.
Are you
gross.
like a never nude?
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Oh, I don't know why I got them. I don't know where I got them from, but I had.
We don't know
rip-away-
why we did what we did.
That is
man.
the
The
most
lady
farm-
behind you, she blew herself, by the way.
That is the most farmhouse slut thing you've ever said, by the way,
Whoa.
Ian. That like I had
Yeah.
tearaway jeans. Like that sounds like you went
Yeah,
behind
easy
Beza
access
Hale,
for
you know,
sure. Yeah. Talk about
That-
party in the back. Yeah.
But
that is like
but
you're the
down
roadie.
side,
You know.
Down the side, they were orange.
Yes.
So are
of
you
course.
wearing orange pants right now, Ian, or just no
No.
pants? That's
No,
it.
but I wish I had those still. Those are kind of cool.
I
Yeah,
wish you did too.
I
I'm
wish-
baffled. I think I found the one like cool hip thing that Ian likes, and it's 90s cool. It had to
Yeah.
be the dorkiest shit ever.
Yeah.
Like
and they were orange, just like her hair. Wait,
This is
Look,
orange
the
and
80s had a-
silver.
The 80s had
This
a
was
style.
Ian's thing.
The 80s had a style.
all right, we gotta get off pants. Isn't it
Yeah,
pitch
yeah.
time?
90s.
It is.
It is.
The 90s.
Real
we
quick
were-
though, Ian, take that shirt off and wrap it around your waist and go get a ball
we
chain
were-
necklace
there
and
was
come back.
no-
Whip it around your head like
Yeah.
a helicopter.
Yeah, put some
No.
gel in that hair and let's party. But in the chat with the first pitch, I see Gold's Code doing it with style. His pitch: the Mondashauans meet Mitchell and tell him and the great evil that the great evil will attack Ohio, causing him to blade to all the elements, avoid the preps, and to assemble the weapon in The Fifth Born. Oh, already you fixed this movie. Sean Gold, you've done it. Sir, just take a bow. Do one of these things. Like,
not ready.
sir, we
You're
are
not
not worthy. We are not fucking worthy because you saved it. I didn't think it could be done, but yeah, the fifth wheel, you grind it. The fifth element is
fifth wheel.
grinding. It's inline. Oh,
I don't. Yeah. Is that
Every-
further in the future, or did we go back to the past, or like? Remember, we're
well, there was
floating
there.
up above?
Speaking of going back to the
You know,
past,
I
there
have a
was a
theory, though.
pitch.
I have a theory though about this. If I could for a second,
Yeah.
Sure.
I stand by that science fiction movies that go way into the future are never liked. I think
Oh,
Interesting.
What about Blade? What about Blade Runner? What about Blade
There-
Runner?
Wait,
2020.
out.
What is that? That's
When
not
was
that
Blade
far.
Runner? It was 2019.
Yeah.
When's Back to the
Yeah,
Future?
but a while ago that was way in the future. What do you
Well,
mean?
but what I'm
But
saying is
not
movies
way,
that go to
though.
like 3,000.
Yeah, he's not like 300 years. He's right. He's right.
You know what? You know what
I.
I always loved that Futurama still does is they go so far they go back to the beginning and then they keep
Well, yeah, I
going.
mean,
I
but
love
like,
that too.
but I've always said if you're gonna do a future movie, if you do, that's why I think people didn't like Dune. That's why I think people didn't like.
Yeah, I would agree. If you go crazy far ahead, it's like we're so boring and everything's so fucking.
Also,
boring.
like you're missing the fucking real movie there, as if we get into a dystopian future that's so far ahead and to the point where like nobody even knows.
Yeah,
what
you've like
happened,
mutated
or-
into something, or
But I've also-
there's
I
an
can
idea that we're
argue-
like beings of light, like a million years from now, or some shit.
And I can only argue that the best one that did it, that was successful, really is Star Wars. I mean,
But we don't know.
Well, that's in the
mean,
past.
we don't
That's in
know.
the Star
Yeah,
Wars
it's
is
in
not
the
the
past,
future.
but
You
like,
don't know.
why did Dune and like the newest Dune version people liked, but you know, and I think it's because
Mad Max. Mad Max.
Mad Max. Well, no, Mad Max works
The
because
first Mad Max movie, we're barely
Then
out of
you
the
get to
out
the
of the
point-
apocalypse or
But
whatever.
when you get to the point where the language is beyond Bob from Ohio,
right?
that's when you start losing people. And I think the Fifth Element does pretty good at staying on kind of, it goes to the edge, but it
Yeah.
doesn't cross it. Whereas like Dune 84 crossed it, you know?
You know, the Fifth
well, you're-
Element always felt to
Yeah,
me
what-
like people cosplaying a movie instead of an actual movie.
Well,
It's
look,
like, oh,
yeah,
you know,
it
this is the
feels
scene where
like-
this happens, and this is the scene where that happens. So let's do
No,
this
the
thing,
other-
and just
The other thing I've heard associated with this that's in space, that's the only thing we haven't mentioned so far, is Spaceballs. People have said like
oh,
space.
well, that's the greatest movie to ever take place in space.
Well,
But,
I mean,
um,
okay, silly space. This is silly space. It's okay. They don't
Well-
have Pizza the Hut, but
Well, men can dream, can't he? But there is interesting to ground the movie in the chat. I see Rand says I would have liked a prequel with the Luke Perry character about his adventures in the 1920s, an Indiana Jones type of movie about a secret
Yeah.
group who are hiding the Fifth Element from the public, where Dallas's great grandfather can be a
Oh, that's
cabbie
cool.
in New York who joins the military group. And I'm like, already again 10 times better movie.
And then
like,
you
fixing this
know
for
what
me
you could
so
have there?
much.
You could have around that time period, you could kind of have like First Contact, and what that's like.
I kind of
you know?
want
Oh,
Jason.
that's a good
I
one.
kind of wish
Yeah.
it was Jason.
Could be
Priestley.
interesting.
Well,
You kinda have to
actually, I'm
mix
glad
the
you
elements
mentioned that,
Oh.
Chris.
I think it should have been,
Luke
I think it should have been
surprisingly-
Jason Priestley.
Luke Perry in
want
a
Priestley?
surprisingly small role, and also R.I.P. And I almost missed him.
Yes. Oh, Luke
wa-
Perry is
I wasn't
one of
all
my
that
all-time
surprised.
heroes.
He's
I
got a
remember
great
I
cinematic
watched
run.
90210 with my mom. I remember that.
That one, you know, actually the 1920s version, I think actually would have been an interesting sequel. Adding that sci-fi, basically the steampunk is what that would have been. That,
But
that
the thing about
industrial
steampunk
with-
is like, is it in the future or is it now? It's like retro future. Like, what was it that
There's
that
a way to
thing
do
with
it
Fox?
right. You just can't Wild Wild West all over the fucking thing. You'll be all right.
Yeah,
you know?
World some shit, you know.
late
Yeah, like
90s
so-
sci-fi, Chris. Wild Wild West. There it is.
There is another pitch. There is another pitch in the chat, and it comes from Whiskey 41, the great Alex Bonafonte. But before I read it, I do want to mention I just now remembering that I think he was trying to get a pitch in last week, but it was a little too long for the chat length or something. It wasn't going through. So my apologies to you, Alex. I know you tune in all the time, and I'm sorry I missed your pitch last week. That's probably the Steven Seagal pitch that Michael said we were missing from last week's show.
Oh,
It was
maybe.
Probably Alex has got lost in the chat
Let's
text.
get
so
Seagal.
my
Let's get
apologies.
You got to
Seagal.
keep
But-
it short and sweet, folks. Yeah.
But Whiskey's pitch tonight says once the Russian mob taxes come in, Putin recasts himself as Corbin Dallas for the Sixth Element. Steven Seagal's hair filler product holds the key as he's dragged in distress through future Moscow. Oh, I love it, Alex. We need to cut a massive master reel of all these Steven Seagal pitches you've had, because that might be the best one yet. I truly love it. Yeah.
Can I real quick or whatever? It's just kind of an interesting observation here. This movie kind of falls into the pantheon of Hollywood's persistent use of like stone MacGuffin based movies. You know, like it's
Indiana
it's
Jones,
I
like
mean, you
Indiana
know,
Jones, say.
like Temple of Doom, like
Temple of Doom does it the best.
Of course, and Marvel, whatever, but it's always some kind of stones, you know, and I don't know what
Gauntlet. Yeah.
Romancing the Stone? No.
No.
I've only seen parts of that.
That's more about romance than
I
stuff.
just assume that's Michael Douglas performing cunnilingus on a bunch of sexy lady statues. Is that
To be fair, sometimes it's about diamonds, sometimes, but that's
Chris,
usually
can we
different.
use
Usually a
those?
different kind of movie.
Can we read stuff from the like internal chat here? Because like Rand has some other good stuff there.
Is there okay? Well,
Can I do that? Can I do
go,
stuff?
go,
for
yeah,
you?
by all means, go.
Rand
for
had
it.
this good one
pitches, Michael.
from Rand. The fifth element will be called the 10th element, the neon moonlight, where Bruce Willis teams up with Pluto Nash to solve a case of someone trying to steal the moon. But steal is like the metal steal, so I don't know if that was on purpose or not. But I love it. I don't want to give this ammo to talk about Pluto Nash and how this movie is worse than Pluto Nash because it is not.
I agree. I did read that one earlier, but I'm glad you read it again because it was now refreshened in our memories for pitch time. And actually, I would love that. Take two movies that are flawed, cross them over, and save both movies. Like, honestly, I feel like Bruce Willis needs an Eddie Murphy to play off of in this movie, and Eddie Murphy and Pluto Nash needs a Bruce Willis to kind of like, you know, I don't even know.
I'm feeling I gotta bring Eddie Murphy every week now because I had so much fun on Golden Child.
My counter to that is going to be Cop Out. That's my counter to it.
I think honestly, Bruce Willis best plays off himself in a weird fucking way. Like look at Die Hard. All of his rhetoric in that movie is with himself, and it's all brilliant. It's all great.
It sounds like masturbation.
Yeah, he's a guy that can play with himself through an entire movie, and we'll all watch it and enjoy ourselves. Right? Like he's great at that.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we just got a new clip for the intro. Chris talking about Bruce Willis masturbating. That's great. That's really good.
That's the real fifth
part of me that this would have been an interesting movie. If, like, let's say this movie came out a couple years ago.
I thought you were going to say porn parody, but no, continue.
So like 2017 instead of 97, 20 years later.
Yeah, like this would have been an interesting Hugh Jackman movie.
Maybe.
Like somewhere in between other Wolverine movies, or you just trying to work in Deadpool, the new Deadpool movie?
I think Hugh Jackman would have had fun.
Let's ask right now because that looks like
let's ask him how much fun he had being Van Helsing.
Are you going to see the new Deadpool?
I do want to go see that.
Absolutely. You do? I'm like, whatever. I feel someone's going to spoil it if I don't see it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's why we got.
Oh, you're going to get, I mean, within an hour of Thursday, you're going to get all the spoilers.
Yeah, like I already read reviews and I was like, stop reading reviews.
Yeah, you're gonna, yeah, no, it's over. But like, there would have been a fun, huge, like that would have been fun. Or honestly, if there was a serious version of The Fifth Element, because let's be honest, if you took the script and you just didn't have it lit so bright, and you had the color scheme more darker, like, you know, Daniel Craig would have been an interesting Corbin.
And no, or now you're saying like
I'm not saying
he quits Bond early and does this.
No, just kind of in between the Bond movies. There could have been.
These are real thinkers, Ian. Yeah.
Well, you know, I think about that. But again, that would have been. It would only work if it was a serious, because the Bruce Willis is kind of serious in it.
You know who was originally supposed to be here before they got Bruce?
Or Dave
Van Damme.
Jean Reno, remember it's French.
Okay. Well, that's why I said Van Damme, and I think this is my theory now. What we were supposed to get was Van Damme in this film, and it was supposed to save Van Damme's career because he needed something like this.
Oh yeah.
And Bruce Willis wasn't supposed to go back to movies like this. He did this and like Armageddon and a bunch of factory.
You know who would have taken this over the fucking top though at this time? I'm just gonna say one last thing and I'll let you dive in. But I wanted Bruce Willis to make more Color of Nights. I wanted him to do that for the next 25 fucking years. And fuck you if you got a problem with Color of Night. You eat it. You eat shit for shitting on Color of Night. That movie's fucking brilliant. My pick for this game is gonna be my fucking man B. Frage. He would have taken this movie over the top.
Done. Yeah.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser would have made this
instead of the Mummy. Instead of the Mummy.
Well. When did this come out?
Fucking Pauly Shore. Pauly Shore and Chris Tucker's role. You know it. You know he was
Oh,
Chris
just
Tucker's
swag.
role.
No way. Weasel. No way.
Dude, just saved both their fucking careers, and then we wouldn't have to do this awful mummy movie.
What are you
I would have
smoking?
been so
No
happy.
way.
I'm sure Mila
I mean, the mummy. What did you hate about 1995 to 1999?
I know. Did you
hate,
get
Chris?
dumped? Did you like fail school?
I'll tell you what. No. I'll tell you what. I specifically with 97 is the worst year of my life because I had the best friend the year before that. That was Steve. Then he moved away, and I had to watch movies like The Fifth Element for a fucking year. And before I could, by myself, before I could recalibrate and like go find new friends. You know,
we weren't dating
terrible.
back then, like Michael, getting lucky in the theater.
Chris?
Yeah, lots of flirting like this movie. Just always flirting.
I was panting
Chris?
a lot.
Yeah.
As a teacher, you had friends.
We gotta throw up the thing behind you, Ian. The more you know.
Yeah, why do you Ian, why do you look like you have a background from Life Force from 1985?
He's gotta move over. It's the lady from the movie.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Slide over, Ian. Can you slide over a little bit? Like
I don't know why it's got the dots. I don't know what that is, but that's.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird movie.
Until you moved, I was getting major Life Force vibes.
And you're coming off very like
the
very,
weirdest
like,
thing in this movie that I
calm and
noticed
cool.
now is Zorg's assistant guy is this guy Tricky, who's like a DJ in real life or whatever. And like he's so miscast in this movie. And when he's operating the like cockroach thing and the president just smashes it, it's like, yeah, that's Spaceballs. That does feel like Spaceballs. I get it. With people, like we were saying tonally, for a minute, biggest explosions, guns everywhere, action. Like for a second, romance. For another minute, zany comedy. For a minute in his apartment, like Three's Company. The movie's disjointed. I
will give The Fifth Element credit for being one of the last practical effects movie where stuff was practical because once a couple years later, once episode 1 came out, we really did lose a lot of the. I mean, I'm not saying
it's funny you mentioned that, Ian. The Mangalore things, their faces with the animatronics were repurposed for Phantom Menace, and they're in there somewhere.
Makes sense, yeah. But it's good. I just think it's interesting. If I don't see a sequel to The Fifth Element. Like I don't see The Sixth Element because that kind of doesn't make sense. But
no, you're right. I see a threequel for sure.
And like I said, if I did see one, the only thing that pops in my head is going way into the future. And so, like I said, for me, I guess
in the future.
Well, but like I said, like that thing that doesn't work, where it's like the year 3000.
But you could do that. You could do exactly what Back to the Future did, and you could set him the future in the second one. You could set him the past in the third one. There you go.
But I say that though with the caveat that how awesome would it be though to have something set in the year 3000 and literally Earth is dying, and we need the fifth elements to make Earth survive again. I mean, really, truthfully,
was that what this movie was about? I honestly don't know.
I mean, you can see the symbolism.
Well, I mean, the way I take it at the very end is when they stop the evil thing and it stops, it's now another moon, just like our other moon, which was evil like we have a moon right now, and that moon showed up like 5 million years ago, and it was evil. Like that's what I took that as,
Yeah. So speaking
of, the fifth element was love.
It kind of was. She needed to love, yeah.
Well, that's another thing I've always kind of had a problem with, honestly, is how's the fifth element not? That's a good one. I did walk right into that fairly enough.
Yeah,
no, but how is the fifth element not electricity? Like, how do we I mean, even on this planet, like forget the movie, how do we not universally have just considered electricity to be the fifth element now?
Because if we watch the whole movie and they're like, it's electricity, we'd be like, oh, this is
well, I mean, Chris, you make a point. The human body has electricity in it.
We conduct electricity.
The Matrix has taught us
electricity.
that we are all batteries, so she is electricity. But at
lightning occurs in nature, electricity occurs in nature.
It's not that exactly the fifth element thing. It's that what the fifth element is what is required to combat evil, to activate the weapon or whatever it is.
Well, we got to have a movie. I know. I'm just saying.
And the love is the thing. I mean, look, any movie you ever watch, the hero ends up overcoming their goal basically because of some kind of love, whether it's self-love to self-preserve or someone else or whatever. In every friggin' Die Hard movie, he wants to get back with his family, and he's a horrible dad and he's a horrible husband. That's why he doesn't have a family,
We didn't like our protagonist action heroes if they were even decent fathers.
Yeah, they're
They
supposed to
needed
be flawed. Like Jason Statham is a horrible person.
Everybody wants to
Fine.
relate to the person on screen, and no one had a good father. Right? Isn't that right? And what year did people start having fathers that weren't terrible?
I don't know, but I do want to touch on the chat
That's
real quick.
a funny thing to say.
That is an interesting point, though. Actually, it's quite poignant. But I do see in the chat, Matt Sharp, the great mashup genius. He says, "I wish I had the Chris element." So, as always, sir, we are very honored to have you in our chat. He's great mashups. Check out Matt Sharp, guys. Also, Rand, in Ian's point, I think says Mad Max takes place in the 1990s. So I thought that was correct as well.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Yeah.
Amber Caldwell, though, says, what about Star Trek? Where does that land in the space-time? And that's a good point.
A lot of
'cause I feel like
movies. Yeah.
Star Trek is far enough into the future, but it's very successful.
Yeah. But I guess what you're saying is you got to really world build.
No, I have an answer to that, though. Star Trek is very... What happens is when you get to the movies where it goes so far into the future, what happens is the human nature is hard to relate to. I think, honestly, that's why I think people don't relate to Dune 84.
No, yeah.
You can't... And even I'd say a little bit of the newer Dune.
Yeah, I don't understand the spice and that stuff. I don't.
I have no idea what's going on.
It's hard to relate. Whereas Star Trek,
I just assume it's cool drugs that I want to do.
I assume everything is cool drugs.
Star Trek is
Steve, party time, baby.
Star Trek is it's tomorrow. These people. It's just,
I do want to hit something I'm thinking here with this that just happened the past week. So. You guys all lived through this, and we were all alive in 1999, and they were all like Y2K, and that never happened. And then last week, Microsoft goes down, and kind of the U.S. freaks out. People are stuck everywhere, and shit's flying off everywhere. And it was okay, Y2K happened. It just happened late, 25 years later.
So Y2K finally came around.
Yeah, and all it did. What it is, that's what we thought would happen, And I was like, that shit can happen like that. Something weird that's happening now could happen again way in the future, right? Future repeats itself or whatever. I don't know.
And all it did was moderately inconvenience people. It's my flight got delayed.
People got stuck. Stuff was shut down. I have a friend who was stuck in Toronto for 3 days. It flipped his life.
Man.
It sucked. It really happened in a lot of places, and they were just we can't process it. Nothing is on, and you forget. Okay, 7 top 25 businesses in the U.S. are based in Microsoft. Well, they won't be next week because they'll switch or some shit. But
it's a really good day. It's a good day for Apple, I guess. They're all going to be thinking, how does Apple for business work again?
It's like when that ship got stuck in the Panama Canal, right? The ripple down effect. You have no idea. But Steve couldn't get his cigarettes, right away. He had to wait.
I know. I'm smoking on this episode. I'm the bad boy of VCR.
Well, it's very French of you, Steve, to be smoking on this episode. Another place I stand with the French for smokers' rights, folks.
So going back to what Ian said
body
before,
hair too. You like body hair?
Talk about a different subject that's not this movie. Going back to it, but Star Trek, right? It's just kind of I just kind of realized what you guys were talking about it. What's the name? Gene Roddenberry created that, whatever. It's one of the only examples of somebody taking a futuristic world and going the opposite direction with it. Right? It's so not post-apocalyptic that it's
it wanted to be cheery. Yeah, it wanted to be cheery.
Where we figured out
now.
Right? Is that what?
Now you're making me think of the Showtime series sequel to Fifth Element that we could have gotten in 1999, starring Scott Bakula.
Late night porno version.
Yeah, like a bleach blonde Scott Bakula as instead of fucking Bruce Willis, and it would have been so. Come on, they would have. They could have done that shit.
Version. That's the UPN version of the Fifth Element.
The sci-fi.
You could have done. I mean, you could have done a TV version of the Fifth Element. It's just you'd have to find the. I mean, they did it with Stargate, right? And
maybe
that's why people Stargate Atlantis or whatever the hell it was.
That show ran forever.
I never watched any of that stuff.
It wasn't about the Stargate anymore. The series was about the people and the land and battles between tribes and this.
I thought it was in the water. The only thing I watched in the water like that was Sea Lab 2021.
The Fifth Element would be how the Fifth Element TV show would be criminality within this world. And now that we've saved now we have 2 moons, and how do you now, but also if you think about it realistically, this is the writer in me, but if you had two moons, it would off kilter everything we know on this planet. I mean, waves would be detected. All this. I mean, a second moon would.
Yeah, but they go on other planets and they got big cruise ships that blow up and stuff.
Yeah, but Ian, you just
Kinda
proved
now.
right there that like anything can be good if it's written.
I mean, I
with
think,
good
look,
characters.
I didn't really say like my
that's-
pitch, but I think you just keep going. They were flirting the whole movie. This is the love of his life. The second one, they're into things and they're having kids, and maybe it's weird because having kids with the Supreme Being is weird or something. And go with that, and go for the sequel that Luke Besson wanted. He wanted a sequel. He's game for sequels. He's doing sequels. Yeah, make two more and finish it up. Well, you can't without Bruce, I guess. But I don't mind that Luke Perry prequel. I like that a little bit.
I'm
too.
not
He's dead too. It's tough. It's tough.
I'm not like a super whatever, like this kind of person or whatever, but like it's just kind of inherently weird to watch a movie where Bruce Willis just falls in love with this woman immediately, who's talking to him like Nell from the movie Nell.
I know.
And like she doesn't understand how to like.
I remember
wash
Nell.
herself.
That's so funny. She's like lost in the woods and talks to
As
him.
far as he knows, she is like wildly mentally challenged, and he's
Well,
like,
let's
"Oh,
get a
my
little
fucking God, yeah," like,
intellectual here, Steve, since we're the intellectuals. Mila Jovovich, a polyglot, knew 4 languages going into this movie, and her and the director made up that language as a made-up language, like a child would do, right? Luke Besson wrote this as a child.
Right.
So let's say, yes, it's a little weirdly a childish movie that is supposed to be serious and sci-fi, which some people hold to a very high standard. But I still find it fun. Bruce is fun. It does have action. I would put it ahead of some other Hudson Hawk type movies. And I just think, especially now where Bruce is gone and it's kind of sad what happened to him at the end, this is a good one to go back to. You know?
True. I agree with that.
Still in movies too.
Yeah.
It's an interesting comparison to Hudson Hawk because you take Gary Oldman in this movie and it's just something that has never connected with me, and then you take Richard E. Grant from Hudson Hawk and it's just absolute masterful scenery chewing, like when him just going on about like money will always be paper, but gold will always be gold.
Well, you know,
and
Chris,
just
you know what I think
pumping the air. Like that man is
everybody in
brilliant.
Hudson Hawk knows what movie they're in, and I don't think everybody in The Fifth Element.
I don't think anyone knew.
No, you're right. Actually, Steve, you're right.
Yeah.
So Chris, everything was so secret. Chris Tucker knew nothing except the costumes, based the character off the costumes.
And
then
someone said in the
everyone's
chat that he
reaction
hated
to
his
it.
role in this. Yeah.
And Gary too. He just did it because Luke Besson paid for his movie, so he just showed up. Yeah, but I would say, hold on, I'm going to mess this up because I don't want the professor to get me. Zorg's monologue about destruction creating creativity is a classic economics fallacy exposed in the Parable of the Broken Window, written by French economist Frederick Bastiat in 1850. So there you
That's
go.
crazy. I was just about to say
then we
that.
better listen to him.
It's pretentious, yes, but it's
Michael?
still kind of cool. And it's a
Michael?
really good monologue when all the little robots
Michael?
do the dance and all that stuff.
Michael, as a teacher, you're a nerd.
That was bullshit.
You liked it. You liked it. Come on. You liked it. It was like French fries. Like you got to get on the, on the treadmill, but you want some for sure.
All right. Well, in summation, I must say.
Did we do it? Did we figure it out?
No, I don't know if we figured it out, but just in case we didn't, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pull out my Robert Downey Jr. I'm gonna say
pull it out.
I'm gonna say Eric Roberts or Mickey Rourke in a sequel to this. Either one of those guys or together. And already the wheels are starting to turn more favorably in my direction.
You ever watched like Eric Roberts' cut of Back to the Future?
No, but that sounds incredible.
You've seen the Eric Roberts stuff that they filmed for Back to the Future, right?
You're thinking
No.
Eric Stoltz.
Eric? Yeah, sorry. Oh, wow. Damn it. Oh, you're right.
Like, wow. I don't think Eric Roberts was in Back to the
Well,
Future.
Eric
there,
Stoltz.
but
Eric Stoltz.
That's a
But
different
now I wish Eric Roberts was in Back to the Future.
Yeah, I
wish he
do
played
too.
Biff.
Wow, that
That'd
was
be
bad.
incredible.
I'll shut up. That was bad.
The DeLorean took my thumb.
I'm picturing the mask
thumb,
now, like
Charlie.
him in the mask, and I can't get it out of my head.
You took my thumb, Doc.
Oh man, he would have been great as George McFly. Actually, now that I think about it, fuck me.
He's
And
probably-
Mickey Rourke would have played Biff. I'm telling you.
Oh wow, Mickey Rourke is Biff. That's
I have
pretty
this
cool.
theory, the Roberts Rourke theory, that every movie is helped by the presence of these two actors and Billy Zane, who's already there. So it's the Trinity for me. Good
He could have
lord,
been a young
Billy Zane in Fifth Element would have been.
Oh, that would have been good.
As the bad guy?
He's as anything. He's got the kind of charm to like kind of pull
As
you into a
Ruby,
movie
I
like
could even
this.
see him as Ruby. Yeah.
He
That
could
would've
have
been
played
hot, too.
every role in this movie. Like Billy Zane is a masterful actor.
If he did, that'd be
incredible
some
actor.
weird AI thing. Yeah.
Well, not AI. Fuck that shit. But
I was gonna
don't know
say,
if we
maybe
can-
Chris, maybe that's your answer for this movie. Just put AI on the Fifth Element. And
Let's recut The Fifth Element with Billy Zane as Mila Jovovich.
and Eric Stoltz
I
somewhere.
can't say her name.
Let's get crazy. Let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts, and let's make that our new passion project. The show's going on.
Honestly, you know who else the French love? Michael Paré could have been good if the Fifth Element was made in the 80s. If it was Terry Gilliam directed and Michael Paré starring,
Terry Gilliam,
I would have
that's a good one.
loved it. I would have loved this fucking movie.
Gerard
So-
Depardieu.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying the only French thing I know right now.
Could you match this up with any other Mila movies?
Sacre bleu.
Like Resident Evil or whatever?
I mean, I can sit through those things because, again, like I'm not a bright guy, so like you know what I mean. Like I can like drool on my own self.
Money, and you're a
to get
teacher.
If you can
stuff
sit
like
through that, then I'm gonna make you do a Color of Night episode VCR Redux one of these days.
I don't even know what that is.
I know. I don't know what that is.
Oh man, well you guys really missed out on what the real
Consider
90s were
yourself
about.
lucky you don't know that.
No, consider yourselves.
Thank you,
broken
Professor.
souls.
Thank you. Did I get extra credit?
Was it a
If you-
sequel
you know-
to The Color of Money? Or
If
Color
you ever
Purple?
want to see, you can't live until you've seen Willis's Willis in Color of Night. But getting back to
I'm
this
in.
show,
The
you
five
can.
elements. There are five.
Yes,
That
that's
was
the
the
real
Fifth Element.
That was really the fifth element, the love,
kinda
the love
was,
element.
right?
There it was.
I think it
Okay,
might
yeah.
have been Billy Zane. I think we
the
figured out
seeds
the
of this-
real Fifth Element.
We
Oh
did it.
God, who doesn't love Billy Zane? All right. Before we wrap it up, though, is there anything you guys have got coming up in the works you want to let the people at home know about?
Yeah, actually, with you, we shot a few days for our trailer for Cabin Break, for our short film, our horror film, and it went well. And Chris is gonna get the footage soon and start editing for us, and we're really excited. And we'll have more info soon because it's small and we're putting things together, but we'll have hashtags and all kinds of. We have an Instagram, and I'll give you guys that. And we're really proud of everything, and I'm really excited to be working with Chris editing the film.
I'm super excited to be working on it, and I can't wait to get right to it. Ian, Steve, anything going on in your corners of the world? Ian, what's going on? Where can the people get lucky?
Yes, so you
Yes.
can find my novel Lucky at newfangle.press. Order your copy today. You can also go to Fandom Spotlight, where you can see a new B-movie article featuring the amazingly bad film The Man Without a Body, about people switching the brains with Nostradamus. But stay tuned next week for B-Movie Challenge for the classic Chinny Chin Chin Robert Dazar classic Killing American Style.
You
So-
almost stuck that landing until you said Robert Dizar instead of Robert Zadar, but you were doing
yeah,
so
Zadar.
good.
Was it Zadar?
I
Zadar,
really
yeah.
like Chinny Chin Chin. I like that.
That was that. I
Those
wasn't
are-
sure how that was going, but
Yeah,
then
I thought you were going into bed knobs and broomsticks. I was like,
no.
yeah, let's do it. Let's do
Robert
it.
Zadar. And then you can follow me on ian.klink on Instagram. So to see more things about what's coming out and all that.
Wow. And I just want to say, Ian, that I haven't read the book yet, but I did read the synopsis on whatever, and it sounds awesome.
Thank you.
And I'm
Thank-
pumped to read it.
That's
The first
big for you,
book-
Steve. You read
I
the
know.
synopsis.
I
That's
did.
good.
and- yeah. Then I was so
As a
tired, I had to
teacher-
put my phone down and go to bed.
As a teacher, as an educator, as a writer.
his soul is healed. Well, I guess it's time for me to say that you Fandom fans might want to tune in next Wednesday at 9 p.m. when we get back to the Hughesverse for our Uncle Buck episode. As always, if you enjoyed this video, the best way to help is to smash that like button and leave a comment telling us what movie or TV franchise that you want us to cover in a future episode of VCR Redux. And since you're already doing that, you might as well go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow Crash Romeo, Fandom Spotlight, and Pop Culture Punk. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those Laserdiscs, and we'll see you at the movies.
Multipass.